Okay. All right. Thank you very much. All right. Hey, Alan. How you there? We are live and in person. And let's say, I hope we're live and in person. Where are you at, Alan? Let's see.
There we go.
There you are. Okay, so we are live. So tonight, I just named, I need to know how many disciples did Jesus leave behind and other topics.
How many disciples did Jesus leave behind and other topics?
Yes.
Wow.
So
well,
we could start on the other topics because I think people will have an idea of what we're talking about. I was going to put Biden's name in there, but I said, I won't give.
yeah, poor guy's had enough heat. I think probably.
No. He hasn't had enough.
No.
He's been trying to be the president for umpteen years. Kept pleasurizing, lying about being the first three in class, and he was the lower 75 in his class.
Say it ain't so, Joe.
Oh man, the guy is just full of lies. So it's like,
hey, no. Yeah. He's our fearless leader. You know, we do have to pray for our leaders, and that's a very important. That's a very important part of our soldier duty in the kingdom of in the kingdom of heaven. I mean, kingdom of God. Got to pray for our leaders, man.
Yes. Oh, and if you just joined, you just seen like at 5:30 a replay of the blind history lady, which that was the edited version. And that will be on our TV channel 56 at 8:00 tomorrow. Well, I don't know if they're going to play it tomorrow night or not because I just got it to them. So sometimes it takes me a while to upload it and get it in the schedule, but it will be on.
That's awesome. That was a pretty good show. I learned a lot of things about the blind community that I didn't know, and I relearned some things that I had forgotten. And gosh, man, what's that guy's name? High Rise Joe or whatever.
High Rise Joe. Yeah. You know, I was telling my wife about him, and I said, "Who would know High Rise Joe?" And it's like, wow,
it's like, pretty crazy stuff, man.
So
see, where I got the connection was my aunt had introduced me to this disc jockey when I was a small child. I was about maybe 8 or 9 years old. I don't know, somewhere around there. And his name was Joe. Now, I don't know to this day whether that was the guy or not, but then I did hear about High Rise Joe years down the line and heard the station that you mentioned yesterday.
KWBZ.
Yeah. That's pretty sweet. But I don't know, man. It's always good to learn about stuff you never knew about, especially the idea that there's a guy that actually hid his own identity, so to speak. Hid his blindness so that he could have a enjoyable career in what was it, acting, I guess, right? Or was it
radio? It was radio, just radio.
Was it just radio?
Yeah, because they tried him out as a talk show guy, and then I guess he went over to some other things.
Yeah, no, he was diversified a little bit, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and he could also call overseas numbers just by whistling. I could whistle the down tone.
I remember that. That was pretty some crazy stuff, man. Yeah, that's what you call it. That's a very interesting ability. For those that don't know what we're talking about, folks, back in the day when we were young, Johnny. But there were these touch tone phones, and when you hit the buttons, obviously you would hear the button. Sometimes you can do that nowadays with the smartphone. Most times, it's pretty silent. You don't hear the tones.
Mhm.
But yeah, basically back in the day, there were 2 or 3 tones or something played in simultaneous fashion, but they were on different frequencies. And basically, each time those were played, so to speak, the switchboard, so to speak, recognized those things. And why, that's how the phone calls were made, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, yeah. And and the phone company said, well, instead of fighting them, let's hire him. So
That's the crazy stuff, to have that kind of ability naturally, to just be like,
yeah, and I think you demonstrated it on the. I don't know if they kept any of those tapes, but I mean, that would have been interesting that to keep that kind of history. I wonder, something said, oh yeah, okay. It said I'm unmuted. Okay. Are you there, Alan?
I am here.
Oh, okay. Because my computer said unmuted. I'm saying, what are you muting? Okay, anyway. So yeah. So we talked about him. And then you were talking about some people at the Federation of the Blind. My mind was somewhere else because I was just getting stuff set up and I totally missed. And so you will see that, you'll probably see that on the Blind Lady
One of the
part
replays.
1.
Yeah.
But you won't see it on the one that just played right before our show. But what was that conversation about? Because I heard that and said, man, where was I when this conversation was going on? People that you guys knew at the Federation?
Sure. I mentioned the fact that she was somewhat involved with the National Federation of the Blind. Now, the National Federation of the Blind is one of the largest, actually the largest blind consumer group in the United States. And they were affiliated, they were started, gosh, years ago, what, 30s, 40s? I don't even know, man. You'd have to ask that blind history lady. But anyway, yeah, I was asking her what her affiliations were, whether she was married to another guy, married to a guy called Curtis. And so yeah, it's the same guy, same family, blah, 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 all that. Nothing big, no conversation. It was too interesting. We just, National Federation of the Blind stuff. Okay. It's kind of a small world, the blind community, really. Really is all it boils down to. I mean, when you meet thousands of people across your lifetime, and a couple of those 1,000 happen to be blind people, why, I will tell you, man, you get to know people.
Yeah. Hey, also I want to let people know that Innervision compilation has come out. You can get pre-orders. You put them in your Spotify list. Just look up Innervision compilation 2021, and it's 10 songs. You can sample them and listen to it. And I thought about I thought about changing the price. I had it like 99 cents, right? For like if you got a single. I'm thinking like, I don't know, maybe I should raise up to like $1.29. But anyway, I digress. But anyway, so it's out and it will be let's see, it will be released Friday the 1st. Friday the 1st.
That's September 1st, so that's this Friday.
No, well, October the 1st. October the 1st.
Sorry, Friday, October the 1st. So that's just on down the road.
Yeah.
So this Friday is going to be the 3rd, so that's a payday for some of us. Yeah. So what you can do is you can go ahead and pre-order that thing.
Oh yeah. And so we've got a lot of good groups in there, and some of those groups will be performing at this place called Wide Ride Restaurant, and they had the best bar food in the land. I tried this thing. It was called barbecue cabbage, and I was expecting it like well, I thought I was gonna get some what was it, like coleslaw on the side, but they actually mixed the cabbage within the beef, and then put some barbecue sauce in it, and it was So next time I'm gonna go. I'm gonna probably try the wings. The either the barbecue wings or the hot ones. But it's bar food, ladies. So you're not gonna get it. It's not vegan city. So hey, so but it's some fantastic food, clean place, and nice people. There's a husband and wife that they just opened it in 2019. Then that pandemic, Wuhan thing hit, and then they had to do what they had to do to keep the house going.
Huh.
But right across from the post office downtown, so very convenient for us.
Wow, that's pretty sweet.
So and okay, so the reason I was thinking about this other topic was I was reading Rich Dad Poor Dad, and in there he talks about in 71 when Nixon separated the gold from the dollar.
Right.
And when the money was put with the gold, then you could say, okay, this dollar is worth like so many grams of gold. And so it had a value to it. And I don't know what Nixon was thinking. Or maybe you read more about that he decided, well, let's just separate it. And then the race was on where Democrats and Republicans who borrow money. I guess Democrats, they tax you. Republicans, they borrow money. And like
that's kind of how that works out.
And if you wonder, like, okay, when we had Trump in there, he says, well, I don't like signing this. And I'm saying, well, then don't sign it. But he says the interest rates are low, and in the business world, okay, you might do something like that, but working with the country, I mean, like, and we're already in debt. I would have just been happy if he would have just tried to balance the budget for the first time in umpteen years. But,
interestingly enough, Bill Clinton was able to get that budget down to zero.
Get out of here. He was. Slick Willie?
Slick Willie.
That's
at least a rumor anyway. I don't know whether it's true or not, but ladies and gentlemen, in the era of fake news, I figured I'd throw that out there. But it may actually be the case. I have no idea, but so I did hear that somewhere.
So if you're wondering, like, okay, why can't they just keep printing money, and we're trillions of dollars in debt? It's because it's no longer connected with gold. And so, and this is another thing. He says, okay, I was telling my daughter, and I gave her the wrong advice. I had to call her up and say, wrong advice. I was saying, save your money. But if it's just printing paper, it's a illusion.
What, Johnny? All right. So let me get this straight. All right. So back in the day, you had a president. His name was President Nixon. Everybody knows President Nixon for a thing called Watergate.
Watergate, yes.
Right. Watergate is a situation where he went on and got himself into a situation. I'm not even so sure as to
paranoid
intricacies of it.
He was just paranoid, and he told this guy, hey, go break in there into the Democratic offices and find out what you can find out. And just, instead of just saying, leave it alone, Nixon, but paranoia can cause a lot of trouble.
Paranoia will destroy you. Well, anyway, the reason why I bring that up is what happened was this. The gold standard was the gold standard, as you said, for each portion of a gram of gold that equaled $1. And those things were kept in a vault called Fort Knox, among other places. But Fort Knox being one of the most notable places where gold was kept. Just so long as we could stay upon the gold standard, our dollar was worth $1. Now, what happened was this. OPEC was created over the course of time. OPEC being a conglomerate of, what would you say, Middle Eastern nations and other entities that were interested in oil, and they decided to move the value of the dollar over from gold to this new standard, which was essentially oil. That ended up being the greater value, even more than gold at the time, per capita, because obviously it was more plentiful and it had greater use than, say, did gold in the materials world. It was more consumable, as it were. So the interesting thing about the OPEC alliance, as it were, is that everything switched from one set of standards, which was a mineral-based value system, being gold, obviously, to a fossil-based, what do you call that? Fossil fuel-based kind of economic system. And for a long time, it held up because, other countries were able to, kind of absorb that whole situation as everybody started to become more advanced. And the third world countries were, quote, raised up from poverty, which, a lot of this stuff still hasn't even transpired. But at least there was technology going willy-nilly throughout the earth, basically. And, and so it was profitable to go ahead and explore the unexplored regions and know the unknowable things, and freedom and liberty and all kinds of cool stuff drove this stuff. But there was also greed in there, and it ended up that towards the I'd say about the 1980s, once Reagan got in there, he did a lot of things that were really good, and a lot of things that people still don't agree with to this day. But the space age really was truly started under his watch. He had the Star Wars Defense Initiative. That was when high tech, really started getting developed. That needed more oil. And so obviously it equaled print. Everything was print. More money. And the value of the dollar began to decrease, even in Reagan's time, even before Reagan's time. As actually, when he got into office, it was about 36 cents. The dollar was about worth 36 cents when he took office. And this was just over a course of 8-9 years of being off of the gold standard and on a fiat currency. Now, this is a failed system from the get-go. And one thing that should never have taken place, that really did take place, was printing banknotes which were representative of gold. But I do understand the idea. Who wants to carry all that heavy gold around?
Let me take people back further, and then I'm going to zoom ahead to now. There was a time, I think it was like 1909, where we didn't want to be a part of like the England system where the king would say charge taxes, and we're going to go to war, so we have to charge the people so much tax so we can build up our army so we can go to war. Right? We didn't want to be a part of that at all. But somehow, I guess these people started doing this propaganda. Was like the rich they're not paying their fair share. So the middle class and the poor class, they said, well, let's make the rich pay the fair share. So
that sounds somewhat familiar.
Let's decree, let's vote on taxing because we want to get those rich people. And so what happened? The rich was, okay. But you know how it is. If you're rich, you're going to find out ways you can keep that money.
Well, that's familiar.
Yeah. And so they passed this law, and I think it was like a part of the Constitution Amendment number 16. And I forgot if it's called amendment or if it's just became a part of our Constitution, but number 16. I remember that. And so now they got the tax, and then the rich turned it around where they weren't getting taxed to death, but they were turning it back on the middle class and the lower than that class of people getting taxed. Then go up to 1940s. Then this mathematician came up with this idea of, well, why don't you, instead of like sending a bill to the people, and then they could look at it and say, okay, I'll pay this much taxes and let the person pay taxes. Then they say, well, why don't you just take the money out before the people see it and put the employers in charge of taking out the taxes. We'll charge a flat rate, and we're charged not a flat rate, but we're charged, this amount for different tax brackets. Then the floodgates of money started flowing into Washington, and that's when it got drunk. After they seen all the money they were getting in on a consistent basis.
Yeah, the interesting piece to this, Johnny, is they were never supposed to take more than 1% of what we were bringing in.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, sure, collect your taxes, do your thing. I mean, it's our duty after all to pay some taxes. Ha ha ha. Okay, I get it. But they were never supposed to exceed 1% of what we were supposed to be earning. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's how they got away with getting the ball rolling. But you're absolutely right. They got drunk. So what do you figure happened after OPEC took over? The oil became basically the value of the dollar, and we started getting into high tech, high touch. We started getting into all kinds of crazy stuff where we're getting into a place where oil is going to be no longer king, and we're moving into territory where we have electronic money or a cryptocurrency, as it were, where you have wallets where you can keep it, but they're not even real. What do you think, Johnny?
I think we're going down a road where say, okay, our dollar is worth more than everybody else's euros and all that good stuff. I have a feeling that China, maybe even Russia, are going to get into a position where they say, well, why should we look at the American money? Our money can be just as big as their money. And because Biden caused there to be a big opening over in what is that, Afghanistan, where all that minerals that we use to make the chips to work our cars, to work our phones. Now China is in a position, Russia's in a position to make a deal with the Afghanistan's, the Taliban, and what they do is they did it in Africa and in other countries. The China, they say, okay, we'll build up your streets or highways and stuff like that, and we'll charge you. You don't have to pay us back now. And they'll get them so much in debt, they say, hey, now that you're indebted to us, how about those mines? We like to have a little chunk of that so we can produce all these little fun toys and all that kind of stuff that the world needs. And maybe they may give them a cut, and maybe they won't give them a cut. But
I will say this, the chip shortage is really going to put the pinch on a lot of stuff.
You got a bunch of cars that are sitting in the car, in these new car dealerships, and they can't roll them out because they don't have enough chips that we get from China.
Gotta love that Green New Deal, folks.
Yeah. It's like, come on, you guys. And it's like, I don't know if the average person knows this, or even you're so busy trying to raise up enough to feed yourself. I heard it was a family that pays $600 a month for gas. $600 a month. I mean, maybe that sounds like a lot to me, and maybe to you, maybe to other people out there. Hey, that's nothing. $600 a month, no big deal. But
well, when you do break it down, I just did some quick paperwork here. When you break it down on a daily basis, it's still ridiculous, Johnny.
Oh man,
$600 a month is just stupid for gas.
Whoever got this Biden into that office, and whoever got all these Democrats and the administrative, these guys have been there for like years. They were with the Obamas, they were with the Bush, and for some reason, and this is another thing that Trump should have did, he should have fired all those administrative people, put some new people in there. But he's probably figuring like, oh well, hey, these people, they know what's going on. But they were doing things underhandedly to slow his administration down. He couldn't get into all of his cabinet. And I don't know why Republicans, they keep these people fired. But when the Democrats get in there, they fire anyone that's not on their team, and they put somebody in that position, like these colonels who are so woke. They put them on the team and say, okay, this is the direction we're going to go. Anybody doesn't agree with us, you're out of here. But Republicans go in there and say, oh, we want to be nice. We don't want to rock the boat. And you have what you have. And I didn't understand this for a long time. And I had other things to do, like raise a family and do and well, a bunch of other stuff.
I think that's probably where we all sit, is the fact that we got other stuff to do. And that's the big trap, ladies and gentlemen. It's the point of, okay, we want to stand up for our rights, even as we see them dwindle away, but we got responsibilities, and we can't protest out in the streets. We can't do that stuff. We got families to feed.
Yeah.
It just can't be done. It can't be done. So we watch our country slip away.
Yeah.
So I guess we got a choice. We remember how it was, ladies and gentlemen, and we tell our grandchildren on down the road, well, here's how it was in the great land of America, United States, or we can stand. We can stand.
Yeah. No, this is gonna have to be some kind of like a revolution, and I'm talking about like we had with that other stuff. I'm talking about like in our minds. We're gonna have to stop eating. I mean, fogging up our minds, clear our minds.
Yep, clear
stop all this using of the drugs that seem like it's just flowing like milk and honey,
like water, man.
Yeah. And clear our minds and start thinking, because it's a verse in the Bible that says, give them wine, give them, give them wine and keep them boozed up, pretty much.
Oh yeah,
I'm paraphrasing.
So I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I can't remember the house number.
It's in Proverbs, and it says you keep the poor in this state of mind, and what can they do, because their mind is so fogged up. And that's what it seemed like was happening. Not all, but it just seemed like America has been asleep, but we're starting to wake up.
Well, here's the way I look at it, Johnny. You bring this up for a good reason, that analogy in the Bible, because it's like this. You give heavy duty drugs like your morphines and your fentanyls and your things like this, whatever, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. You give all that to terminal folks that are on their way out. Okay. Now, if we look at this society, we look at what's going on today, and they got rampant drug use, we got the open borders, we got this stuff going on with our most popular and highly esteemed president. Man, no. Where was I? you've got all this going down.
We got 1 minute.
1 minute.
One minute. Yeah.
You got this going down, and it's never going to end unless we actually clean our minds up. And we've really got to work on that. Really, really got to raise our consciousness, really raise our vibration. And that's going to have to do with food. And that's going to have to do with water. And that's going to have to do with good living. Get back to that.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Yeah. And that's why Jesus only lost one. That was Judas Iscariot, who betrayed him. But this Biden character lost 13. And we're going to be paying for this in the long run for a long time. And who knows how many, because it's coming to Colorado, how many, there's going to be some good Afghanistans in that crowd, but what about the ones who are a part of a cell that are coming into America? And we won't know until the first building or the first, bomb, personal, what they call those people that strap on the bombs and blow each other up, the human bombs explode. But anyway, but I want to leave you on a bad note. Let's leave on a positive note. Innervision FM, Innervision 24 hours, 7 days a week, positive music. Go over there and listen to our station, the morning show.
Check out that morning show, man.
Yeah. And the show at noon where we do interviews with different artists. So if you want to be a part of that, do that. info@innervisionfm.com. Listen, things are going to be all right. Just don't fear. Don't be afraid.
Fear and faith can't exist together.
Yeah.
Just have faith. So have faith.
God is with you, and so is Innervision TV, Innervision FM. So we will see you, I guess,